Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that say stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a change up. I leave the city and return with my change up. They got amnesia, don't remember how they played us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about a new series. This is the newest series on Starz, presented to us by 50 Cent. You know, he always comes with the heat. And so we are going to be recapping BMF. This show is based on a true life story of Big Meech. He was like a notorious dealer back in the early 2000s, and he really made a name for himself and cemented his legacy. So the fact that this story is now being brought to our TV screens, it's phenomenal. It's a great story. And in case you haven't seen already, Tiffany and I actually flew down to Atlanta to attend the premiere of this show. And so we were very lucky to be in attendance. It was a star-studded event. Man, it was like all of, Atlanta's icons, and including the cast. Much of the cast was there. And so we had a blast.
We did. It was really lit.
It was. So you guys hang tight. Look, we actually have footage. We have footage for you guys. We brought you a special treat. So go ahead and check it out right now. Hello, everyone. I'm Tiara.
I'm Tiffany, and we are here on location in Atlanta, Georgia at the BMF premieres for Starz.
All right, everyone, we are back. How did you like the footage that we captured from the event? Let us know in the comments.
And I know y'all gonna think it's hot because it was hot. You had two beautiful ladies at the event. They got their footage, and it's just another step for I love it.
Yeah, we were over the moon. Shout out to everybody involved. That event was awesome.
Yeah, it was. And the stars we met too, that was so gracious and everything. Russell Hornsby plays, Meech's father, and we met Da Vinci, took a pic with him that plays Terry, Meech's brother, and we even met some people who weren't on the show. Like we had a quick run-in with Michael Epps, who plays Jake on The Chi, so that was real cool too, since you guys know we covered The Chi as well.
Yeah, we had a great time. So if you guys are ready, we can go ahead and jump into the recap for this week. This is season 1, episode 1. It was titled See It, Touch It, Obtain It. And so that's kind of like the ongoing theme here. You know, they have big aspirations.
Mhm.
And so we get introduced to Big Meech. His real name is Demetrius Flannery. And we are, I feel like we're going to be going back and forth in time between like his upbringing in the early 80s and flashing back into the early 2000s. So we're going to be seeing, you know, him as a youth and him as an adult. And it's going to probably be like a big mashup of the stories.
I think so.
Yeah. And so we first got the introduction of Terry and Meech as, you know, very young children. They probably look like they are in their, you know, elementary years. And they are played by two real life brothers. And so those brothers were at the event as well. And it was very nice meeting them. They go, their real names are Johnny and Jalen, but they played young Terry and Meech. So shout out to them. And they had like a kind of poor upbringing. So we see early on that they are like fighting over sharing cereal, milk, and hot water and clothes. And it's kind of like the story that we talk about, where a lot of these families underprivileged and feel like they don't have a lot of resources. And so Meech kind of like turns to selling drugs in order to make a way for himself and to lift his family up. And so it's funny that we go from that and transition into 1980s Terry and Meech, who are like they pulling up with the Benzes, they got the nice cars, the nice clothes. But of course, family life is a little bit of a trip because mom and dad are kind of like shunning Meech, but they don't know Terry is involved too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like Meech was the black sheep because he was in the streets. And I'm like, they don't know their son Terry over here, mastermind. You know, they treat him like the golden boy because he was still in school and he had great, good grades and all that. But he also had a child on the way. Like, I was like, where's all this energy for Terry that they got for Meech?
Yeah.
I think for Meech, he was always the one that had, you know, his inspirations were very high. And, you know, you could tell that with the way he treated T, you know, earlier on. You know, he just, you know, being siblings, you know, one is going to rival the other. And I think that's what we saw. And Charles, Russell Hornsby, playing as Charles the dad, you know, I could respect that. I've seen some, you know, some of those dads back in my day, you know, didn't know quite what was going on around his home, but, you know, had to be the strong figure or show himself as a strong Black father in the household. At least he's in the household. I had to give it that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you could look at Meech even as a very young kid, that he would rise to that occasion. And, you know, I could live with the fact that, you know, when they found the weapon, you know, he took it on, you know, he did what he had to do. He didn't, you know, didn't
snitch.
Yeah, he didn't snitch on his
He
dad.
rat his brother out and stuff.
Because he knows how his parents view Terry. You know, he could see that it would tarnish everything, because the reaction that they gave to him was like, get up out of here now.
Right.
And mom was kind of trying to, you know, say, that's not what we mean. But dad was like, look, don't speak for me. I said what I said.
And my thing with Meech is, if you were going to do anything about the gun, you should have done it before you got home. You know, because you did tell him to put the gun away in the meeting. And to me, it would have been a more natural thing to go ahead and get rid of it before you get home, as opposed to having to hide it. Because, you know, when moms go into your bedroom, anything can happen. They'll find something from 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of fair game at that point. And I loved that they actually got Big Meech's son. He's junior of, you know, Big Meech, Demetrius Flannery. So he looks just like his father. And so it was very fitting to get him to play that role. And it brings the authenticity, which is something that 50 was kind of echoing a lot with this show. And then also having Da Vinci play Terry. If you look at the real life Terry, him and Da Vinci favor strongly.
They do, yeah.
So I was like, they got the casting on point.
He's
but
he's a pretty good actor too.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was on All American, and this is a very different role for him. So it's cool to see his versatility, you know, switching up like that.
I wanted to add something too about the difference between the brothers. If you grow up and it's more than one of you in the family, some siblings know how to finesse the parents better. They know how to play the role so that they're not seen as the black sheep. And so that's kind of what I got. Terry just knew how to play the role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Meech was like, I'm not bothering with that. It is what it is.
Right.
And he was more willing to openly push the envelope. He didn't hide it.
Right.
But they are a pretty good team together because, like you said, Tiffany, Terry kind of is like the brains of the operation. He comes up with some of the ideas. And, Meech, he is like
the visionary.
Not necessarily yes, he's the visionary. And they both have these aspirations of getting up from under Pat. So Pat, played by Wood Harris. It was good to see him here. I tell you, the cast is all-star cast.
All-star cast. But Meech also plays himself as the muscle. He wants to be that guy.
I was gonna say that because when they were at the birthday party, he was, he seen the dude Kwame from school and he was like, get up out of here. He kind of like made his presence known. And, Kwame didn't flinch. He carried up and just left. So I can see what you're saying with, Meech being the force there.
Yeah, part of that though, I think he steps in like Big Brother. He's the Big Brother.
Because Kwame he was cutting up the school. He was trying to play him out for having a
baby on the way.
Yeah. So
and then you kind of seen Terry like at the meeting where they had with the 12th Street boys. They were trying to negotiate turf, and Meech kind of looked like a big pushover in that meeting. And Terry, he was basically trying to be something that he's not by pulling out the gun. And they kind of like laughed him out, like, we know you're not really about this life. So, what are you doing here?
Yeah, they're like, you got a little pow with you.
Right. And the rat tails, I don't think that helps the image. So it's just funny to see them kind of like gain their footing in this, lifestyle because, and we talk about this, especially with, another show, which, is rooted in fiction with Raising Kanan, but just seeing the up and comings of how you turn into a major kingpin, you're going to make a couple of mistakes. You're going to look, kind of green when you start. So it's interesting seeing this, the real life version. And so I think that with Pat, so he is their kind of OG, that's what they call him, and he's supposed to be advising them along this path, and he was like, you just don't give up turf like that. That's not the business you in.
You gotta push
and
back.
He's like, the competition is only growing because oh boy, Lamar it has been released from the mental facility, and the turf that the 12th Street boys and the 50 boys are now claiming was Lamar's old turf. And so he's out of the mental facility and he kind of wants his spot back. And we seen him going hard up in the fast food spot.
Yeah.
And he has a name for himself around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think he needs to get back to that mental facility.
Yeah, he crazy for real.
He crazy.
My son was like, even like he said, when I saw him singing Houdini and had the jack behind his ear, he said, I knew he was gonna be a problem.
Yes.
But you know what? That made it perfect for him to do anything else because he could always have that past that he's insane and he has mental problems. Because I think that's why he's just out there now.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
He reminded me of Omar too, because when they said that he had a habit of hitting the other dealers, that's what Omar from The Wire did. He robbed and he rolled up on dealers all the time. That's why he was so feared.
Yeah, but see, the thing about him is that it does not help that Meech is dating his ex.
Yes. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a problem.
And it just shows you how impulsive this guy is, that he would see something like that and first thought is, I got to hit this guy with my car. So I'm like, he really is like just off the hinges. He's unleashed.
And 2 minutes out the bang.
Right.
2 minutes out the bang.
And it's funny that even though, Mo, who was played by Cash Doll, Arkisha Knight as her real name, but she is his ex-girlfriend, but he still views her kind of like as a baby mama situation. And she's like, look, I told you Zoe is not yours. And so he's still trying to stick around, which lets me know that,
It's
she
crazy.
probably has been unfaithful to him and he still is sprung.
I think he crazy.
He's just crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He crazy.
He's
So,
crazy.
Whether he is or not, he's coming back to claim his territory, and he seems one of those people. He's an OG because he doesn't flinch. He's willing to go there to claim his territory, to mark his space. And you see that, like, it's like almost like with Omar, those people who are, I'm trying not to, well, kind of vicious, kind of ruthless. And he seems to be that type. We'll call him crazy, but he's almost like, I'm gonna do whatever.
Right.
No nonsense. I wouldn't want to cross him.
And he's basically claiming her whether or not she wants to be claimed.
Right.
Yes. And that's a dangerous combination there.
Exactly. That brother's cold-hearted. He'll do whatever he has to do. He doesn't, it doesn't flinch. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't care. If he has to kill, he'll kill.
Right. And you see he was at the party too. Meech he was in the cut. He was in the house. So I was like, I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Well, he's going to have to be dealt with, and he's probably going to have to be dealt with quicker, sooner than later. He was given an opportunity, let's say, to join the 12th Street Boys. He didn't even bother that didn't even flinch him. He was probably in his mind saying, look, I can't join you. You're going to be joining me soon.
Right.
So
people who don't have anything to lose are dangerous people.
That's right. That's true.
Exactly.
And he don't need the 12th Street Boys and
Exactly.
And speaking of those strategic alliances, we talked about this a lot with Godfather of Harlem too, because they want to, Meech brought up the topic of joining forces with the 12th Street crew and kind of being like the mafia. And so I'm like, imagine that, because Bumpy tried to do it with the Harlem connection, and it didn't work out because there was that kind of like independent mindset.
Crabs in the barrel.
Yeah. And so it's funny that it reappeared on this show too, because I'm like, dang, like really, instead of going to war and beefing, they could have linked up and really ran Detroit instead of fighting and having all these different casualties. But
and he even said it. He said we can be like the mafia. There's just no need for this inner war, because there's a lot out here. There's enough for you, me, and everybody else. So, but and it's sad too, because there's a little bit to gain from each group.
Yes.
And if they were to come together, they would be a real force to reckon with. And they could make the money. They can live the way they want to do. But hey.
And I said that to draw a connection that I kind of noticed, that visionary mindset that you kind of brought up, because we've seen it with Bumpy Johnson, but I'm seeing some of those same characteristics in a young Meech. Yeah. And this is the early 80s where he was probably in his early 20s or so. And kind of seeing just that mindset that you have to be in this game and how you have to be strategic. And so the fact that he was insightful enough to see that, we're better together if we were to link up. I think we're onto the path of seeing like the big Meech as he grows. He's going to become more and more strategically minded. And that's kind of something that we've seen with Bumpy Johnson. So I just wanted to draw that parallel.
He kind of puts me in the mind of a young Ghost, or I see a young Ghost in him. If we were to see Ghost's his episodes and how he began, I can see Meech and Ghost having some similarities.
Yeah, I mean, especially since if you have done any research on the BMF, he was really big, and distributing drugs, and he eventually tried to go legit by doing some entrepreneurial pursuits, especially in the music industry and stuff like that, to kind of have a legit business. And so I see that parallel what you're saying, except for this is the real life version.
And that's smart. You got to have a way to whitewash that money. That money's got to be washed some kind of way. So you got to get into other things. We see that with Kane and you
gotta have an exit plan, basically an exit plan.
Well, that's good, but at the same token though, you still need to, just being a drug dealer and not having any other avenue in terms of
that's what I mean by the exit plan.
Well, it looks like they're really trying to get an entry plan because they want to get up from under Pat so bad. And so I think that's going to present a conflict. I'm not.
It is because how do you get out under him without killing him or sending him to jail? That's
right.
a conflict. Like now you're gonna be his competition. You're gonna just go. You're gonna go work for yourself and start your own thing. That's a conflict.
Right, right.
And the thing is this. We know that it's ultimately they're gonna become violent, but neither one of them really. You can tell they're not really violent people. Like, like they're trying to get money, but they don't look like they look really reluctant to resort to violence at first. They were flexing and everything, but
yeah. And so I think that's definitely going to be an issue for them. And then, but we've seen them kind of work through problems this episode where, they had the issue with Kato, who was in their crew. She's cutting prices because people can't afford it. And so they come up with this new method to, make the drugs a little less stepped on, feed it to Pumpkin. We know Pumpkin will run her mouth, and the whole hood is going to find out eventually, which happens and business ends up booming.
They did a marketing plan. Pumpkin was the focus group. Because I was saying, this is the PR marketing background that I had. I was like, oh, they just did it in a street way. They worked on the product. They put it on the street. Pumpkin was the focus group, got her feedback, and then they supply and demand.
Yes.
Yeah, but just like you said about Kato, though, I think that she had the real plan because she realized that
she adapted.
No, yeah, I mean, she says, hey, this is a business where you got to adapt and make instant changes. You don't have time to sit and meet and greet. I mean, and so I thought that was very smart of her.
It was.
So she's the one that set it off. So hats off to Kato because, the other, other knuckleheads, they were just, hey, we got to stay true to our, no, you have to adapt. And I thought they did a great job in doing that.
Yeah.
But I also like Pat. I like Pat in his role with the two because he's trying to keep them steady. And, in as much as Meech wants to be a kingpin, he has to understand that in order to lead, you got to be a good follower too. Because there's a lot to learn, and and he's so eager to get out there. It could be very detrimental for him.
And it brings to mind for me the scenario that happened in Snowfall with Franklin and Jerome. Jerome was content with just selling the weed, and Franklin, he was like, I want to go big. And so, Franklin really had to dig in and build up all the connections or whatever to get up from under there and step ahead of the game. But I'm kind of seeing, some similarities in like a lot of these stories of drug dealers, because it's always the poor and disenfranchised communities. They feel like they have limited resources and no real way out. And so they turn to the streets. But what I was seeing too is that there's always that family member that's kind of like, no, you can't be in the streets. This is going to lead to death or jail. And which we've seen is coming from his parents in this case. They don't want his drug money. And I mean, it's a tough situation to be in when you are in foreclosure. You can't pay your bills necessarily. You have your children that you don't want to disappoint, but you also don't want your other child's drug money.
Well, right. It's a script right out of Snowfall. Franklin's mother didn't want to be bothered with the money, but eventually she came around. And I'm pretty sure Meech's mother will probably take it too, because, you are in foreclosure. So what are you going to do? He's offering you cash to get out of this situation. And, I can hear her now saying, okay, I'm just going to do this one time, and that stuff gets good to you.
His father wants no parts.
I know he doesn't.
You see now, he choked them up.
Yeah, like, he wants no parts.
And but mom seemed to have this. It reminded me so much of Snowfall, but I can see moms, secretly doing this with Meech to catch up. I mean, really, what other choice do they have?
Yeah, I mean, the stream that's flowing through all of these shows that we watch is them feeling like they have a lack of opportunity, right?
Right.
But you always have this voice of reason who kind of speaks to the, I guess the heart of it or the moral of it is that nothing good comes out of being a predator or preying on your own people or, you know, making money this way. And we talk about it, like we understand you have lack of opportunity and you choose it, but the way you do it, it causes so much death. Either you're going to end up dead, you're going to end up in jail, the unintended consequences of the people around you that are going to suffer.
Which is what her mom said. That's what she said.
Yeah. Not to mention, you know, the outcome for the community of all the people who became hooked on drugs and what that did to family structure. So
yes.
I mean, he opened it up talking about how he didn't regret anything. He'd do it all over again. And then we see, well, not quite, right? You're not going to get out of this without having some regret. But I think it's always important that you hear that voice of reason or the moral compass in the show trying to steer them in another direction. But you also understand that poverty is real. You know, being foreclosed on or the threat of being foreclosed on is real. What do you do when you don't really see another way out, or you don't really have a leader or a model for how to get out? Because it seems like this coach, the cop is the coach, right?
Right.
But he's a crooked cop.
He got to shut this up.
Yeah. Where's your role model? You look into your parents, but you see them struggling. So you say, well, who do I see that's successful that doesn't have this issue? And it's the crooked cop. Is the other
drug dealers.
Yeah. So I mean, it's understandable, but at the same time, we're gonna see there's a lot of fallout.
You know what struck?
Go ahead, Tiff.
Sorry. I said what struck me is that Pops, he didn't even know that they were in foreclosure because, you know, in his mind, I'm giving you the money, I'm going to work and giving you the money, you handle all the bills. And she was trying to handle all the bills, it just wasn't enough. But she did not let him know how far behind they were, the fact that they were in foreclosure, you know? So that struck me that he was clueless.
Yeah.
I know how that happens. I mean, because, you know, as a man, you want to bring home the bread, you know, you want to bring it home. You want to give it to, you know, the wife. I don't know if she had been working all along, but she did say she got a job at Wendy's. So, and we know that that's not paying any kind of money. You know, so the financial hardship that they're in, and he not knowing, you know, he's thinking that everything is good and gravy, and she's trying to hold down the family as well as support the kids. And so, you know, she's trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. And of course, you do that once or twice, and, you know, you're in one of those situations where something's going to give, and now it's their mortgage. And I did like what she said to him, though, you know, you go upstairs and tell your daughter that she's not, you know, that she can't go to the
field trip.
The field trip, because we're in the situation that we're in. And he's not going to do that.
No, because she's still trying to give them some semblance of normalcy.
Exactly.
And the thing is, and the reason why she didn't tell him is also she's trying to protect his manhood.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I mean, you know.
I mean,
that also speaks to that special relationship between mother and son that the son knew, but the dad didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
and we see that they have these little side conversations, mother and son, all the time. She kind of tries to tell him the lifestyle you're living, you know, you live long enough to see your kids make enough mistakes, then you won't take the money either. And then she also talked about how his influence on Terry is so strong. You know, she said Terry's like a sponge. He soaks up everything you do. He won't listen to us, but he'll soak up all you say and do. So be mindful of that. And kind of by the end of the episode, you know, Terry welcomes a child into the family, Lawanda, that's his girlfriend's name. She gives birth, and by the end of the show, we're seeing Terry get shot and robbed for his car. And not just shot anywhere, he's shot in the head.
And yeah, it looked like the eye socket or something.
Yeah, because the real Terry had something wrong with his eye. It was like lazy and stuff, and that's how. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing he didn't die from that. But
but that's, I feel like that conversation with the mom and Meech had needed to happen, because the father, like he means well, he's trying to protect his family and everything, and I respect his position, but he's so heavy-handed. So it had to be mom to be able to have that conversation with him. That's the only way that that message could break through about Terry and about, you know, his lifestyle and everything.
Well, one
Yeah.
thing, if as Meech, the last thing you want to do is throw on your dad. You know,
Yeah,
you can't. That
And
is not
otherwise
and
it's any
jukebox.
kid.
exact. And yeah, and jukebox. I mean, you know, come on, y'all. These youngsters got to get with it. You
Oh,
know,
listen, they learned the hard way. Because you see, he got yoked up real
you got
quick,
yoked up real quick.
wound up in a headlock.
See that
Yeah.
man strength. See, folks, young kids got to understand about that man strength. It's a little different. You know, you might be young and agile and things, but you don't want your dad, coming up on you like that, because he'll only have to hit you once or twice. But you know,
Well, like we did, respect your elders, whatever you got to say it under your breath when your door is closed. That's
you
it.
know, yeah, go outside, do
That's
something.
the extent of your freedom of speech, right?
Yeah,
there.
right.
Man, his little punch got stopped mid-swing. I mean,
Mid-swing.
he barely got his elbow up.
Right.
He got snatched up.
His elbow was still cocked. So yeah, it's hey, you know, he did what he had to do. I like Russell in that position. You know, because whenever I see him, he's always playing a type of game.
A strong brother. He's a
Yes.
phenomenal actor.
Yes,
Phenomenal.
he is.
Definitely.
And he was very friendly too, really kind and gentle, which is kind of opposite of what we see in this role. He was like very sweet.
Mhm.
So yeah, shout out to him. He is killing this role. I'm looking forward to just seeing all that this show holds, because I think this show, since it's based on a real life story, you kind of have an idea of the outcome, but just seeing all the things you didn't know and trying to find the intricacies in the story, and understanding the mindset and just seeing all the different things that went down, that, you know, back then there was no TMZ, no social media, none of that. So you weren't getting the news the same way we get it now. So it's going to be a very interesting show to continue to watch. I love all of the young actors and actresses that they've brought in. We've seen some very seasoned people like Wood Harris and Steve Harris,
Steve
and
Harris, mhm.
yep, and even Russell Hornsby, but we're also seeing some new talent pop up as well. And so I'm loving that they are kind of mixing the veterans with the rookies, and it's really nice to watch on screen, because everybody is kind of has like a very good chemistry together.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. And I'm also looking forward to next week, because it looks like Meech is on the hunt for
Yeah.
Terry the shooter. So the block is about to get hot, and you know,
Yeah,
with family, when somebody in your family is injured, you take that personally.
Oh yeah.
absolutely. He came
So,
up to the hospital with the gat.
yep. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to next week for sure. Do you guys, I mean, I don't know if we can actually do predictions for this show, since like, I don't know if y'all have any inside information into who shot real Terry, you know, in real life, but I was kind of wondering if it was Lamar.
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was Lamar. I that was my prediction, because I know he's going to be an issue for sure, and
Yes.
especially if he continues to deal with Monique, which we believe that's going to happen. I believe that Mo is supposed to be dealing with Meech, and Meech is supposed to also deal with Soraya's character. That's who he's supposed to have the child with, right? So I think he's going to be back and forth between the two.
Okay.
I don't know, because part of the way it looked like it may have just been theft, because it looked like someone reached in the car and grabbed something. So it'd be interesting to see who it is. Was it just something random because they knew he had money and they just caught him slipping, or?
It could have been,
Or
but
is it
that was also Lamar's MO too. He was known for the theft and all that stuff too. So who knows? I mean, but you're right. It could have just been random.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah. And another thing I'm interested in figuring out is, you know, they have this cop on their side, but I'm wondering for how long, you know, see how that plays out. And then of course, Miss Griffin, she was fed up with them in the community. So I don't know, they pretty much strong-armed her into keeping her mouth shut.
Oh yeah, they shut her down.
But
yeah, he threatened her son. You know,
she is disgusted with seeing them in the neighborhood. So I don't know if she's gonna be able to keep her mouth closed.
I think she's gonna sing. I don't think she's gonna put up with Detective Bryant too long. I think.
But then she's gonna go. Because if she opened her mouth, I mean,
but she seems
you've
like
already been warned. Anytime a cop does that to you,
No, I know, but she seems like a real strong sister that can only take but so much.
I'm sure, but you
Like one of
know
those
what
mamas
what
that
happens in
move.
that game? Like you get
Yeah,
down and lay down, and
yeah,
and that's
yeah, yeah.
something may happen to her if she continues to push back. Like this is a warning.
Right.
He gave her a warning, and how many warnings do you get
Well,
in that game?
you know these
Yeah,
strong women out here. So hey, we got a few examples in some of these shows. So
Well,
she might be real strong and dead too.
well, at least back in those days, they still had respect for the code of no women and children. So maybe they'll spare her. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I think it's interesting. We're seeing this resurgence of these kind of late 80s, early 90s shows, and they're nostalgic because that's the time when a lot of us grew up. And so the music and all of that is familiar.
The asymmetrical haircuts.
The asymmetrical haircuts.
Oh, I had the crep do. I had my hair like that before.
I did too, but I'm looking, I guess for me is, we figured out that it was a lot of damage done. So what going forward, what would we do differently? So I think that's how I'm looking at it is, right. We now know that it's not a lack of opportunity. Maybe it's a lack of knowledge or education about the opportunities that we have. And so I'm looking at it to say, well, if they had to do it all over again, was it worth going to jail? Though that temporary time when you were on top and you basically had all these materials and had the world in your hand, was it worth it for all the people who died? Was it worth it to give up the rest of your life and spend that in prison? So we'll see. We'll see if that high life was it really worth it in the end.
Yeah, and I think it's good for the show that much of the real people that were involved in BMF are also, being consultants for the show. I know Terry was just released earlier last year from jail, and Meech still, I think he's set to be released in like 2028 or something like that. It's something I read, but I don't know if it's been pushed up even more.
I think I read that it's been pushed up. So I think
it might be
sooner.
Yeah, so that's the thing with having, the writer actually, the people that's happened. I know Randy Hudgens, who is the writer for the show, he mentioned that he actually has made several jail visits to talk with Meech and to get his consultant. And I seen in the credits that Terry is on the show, it's EP, and I believe his sister is also involved on the show. And so it's good to have that input because you're getting the unfiltered raw facts from the source.
So it's different for the son too, so that the son is, gets to do life different that he maybe learned.
Exactly, because it's kind of like you get to walk in your father's footsteps for real, and just taking that experience, and you can try to figure out how you can tweak that in your own way to make it better. And so I think that from what I've seen, like I follow some of the people online, the real life Terry, and so it looks like maybe they did, take a lesson from it. And so just looking back in retrospect now, it's kind of like their way of giving to the youth now, saying, this is what we did. Don't make these same mistakes.
A cautionary tale.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it so far. To all of our viewers out there, please drop down in the comments and let us know your thoughts on the first episode. Let us know how you felt about our clip that we got from the premiere. And just give us, some insight. A lot of you guys do a lot of deep research, and if there's any kind of fun facts that you want to drop down as well, let us know about those. You guys have anything else to add before we close out?
I was just going to say that Atlanta premiere was everything. It was really lit. A lot of people came out to support. Even Detroit. I'm like, shout out to Detroit.
What up, though?
Because when Reggie Hudgens came out, he said he's originally from Detroit, and he said that, and he was like, Detroit in the house on the right side of us. Detroit was deep over there. So I was like, okay, Detroit showed up for Atlanta, and I know that there's another premiere in Detroit going on and stuff. So okay, Detroit holding them down. I see y'all.
I think a lot of them are really excited to see their city being put on like this because he's a legend in their area. Yeah. And so he's representing for them.
Yeah. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to say something else. Lala's character was very friendly, so I'd like to see.
Yeah, she was.
Married
she
and all.
was married. I said, "Uh-oh, is Terry gonna have another love interest?" Because there seemed to be a connection.
She's very
out here being scandalous.
I'm like, oh my God, Lala, she is getting around, but it was good to see her anyway. So I like that movie.
Yeah, she stayed working. She stayed working.
Booked and busy.
Yeah, booked and busy.
Yep.
We're not mad at you.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button for our channel, the like button for this video, and also the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. We are also on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok now. So give us a follow there. We'll be sure to follow back. You can check out some more footage from behind the scenes. We have some of the foreword that the producers and the network, the head of the network for Stars gave at the event. So that's on our Instagram page. And then we also have some footage from the post-screening concert where, we had performances from 50 Cent, Moneybagg Yo, Snoop Dogg, The Baby, T.I. I mean, the list goes on. So it was just a really great event. I was so happy that we were able to attend, and just meeting some of the cast and crew from the show just made it all the better. So we're still on cloud 9 from that.
Yes, we are.
I wonder, can you post that clip on TikTok? Not TikTok.
Yeah, they're on TikTok. They're on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, that was dope. That was real dope. Yeah, that was nice. I only wish I could use it in our segment, but that was nice.
Yeah, it's a little too long, but check it out on our socials for sure. But I think we might be calling it a night now. So until next week, guys, make sure you come back here, same time, same place next week when we recap episode 2 of BMF. Right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Hey, popping like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rain do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you been through. Like hold up, say what's the hold up. I got the pack, who got the roll up? I'm tryna pull up. It seem like every time I show up, it gotta go up. See the drip, they see the glow up.